welcome to another episode of Sequoyah, a Star Trek Adventures actual play featuring the Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop powered by Nerd Eye Industries. Disclaimer, as always, this is still a beginner's game, so that means that some of the players are new to Star Trek, they're new to the 2D20 system, or they are Fantasy Grounds, or all three. So there will be some instruction done during gameplay, so if, for instance, you want to see some aspect of the game, maybe ask in chat. We might be able to accommodate there, especially if it's like, making them roll for complications and things like that. So this is an interactive game. Those of you watching live can affect the gameplay. Like I said, you could ask us questions if you wish, but also you can affect what's going on in-game. With 50 bits, you can give the group one momentum. That can be accrued on top of the normal cap of 6. So if they're already at 6 and you still want to give, you totally can. Conversely, you could also give the GM, me, one threat to spend against the players. You are totally welcome to do that too if you wish. In an effort to keep this as correct as possible, it is encouraged that those of you who are watching live can point out only GM rule errors. If you point out something that I screw up, you pointed out in the chat, then I will reduce my threat pool by 1. So if I'm making all kinds of bonehead moves, we can see that threat pool drop all the way down. I won't go into negatives though. So anyway, now let's go ahead and get reacquainted with the players and their characters. And as always, we will go in rank order, and we will start with Commander Kujera.
Hi, I'm Rihanna. I'm playing Commander Kujera Mers, who is a Trill First Officer of the Sequoyah. I'm super excited to come back and play this week, as I am always every 2 weeks, because we're going to figure out this stupid murder creature, maybe?
That's right.
We'll figure that out.
All right, and then next we have Dr. Davis.
Everybody, Leslie, I'm back.
Yay!
I'm here. I'm going to play Dr. Davis tonight. She has no idea what's going on. Neither does Leslie. So we're going to figure it out.
Oh, yes, you will be updated on what's going on, and that will be happening in character, by the way. And then we have Lieutenant Salt.
Hi, it's me. My name's Morgan. You can find me on Twitter at ThistleRaven, and I'm playing Lieutenant Gideon Salt, engineer extraordinaire. And we found a body at a party, which is a bummer. But we're gonna fix it. Not the body. That guy's dead. But we're gonna fix the resulting fallout. Maybe. Hopefully.
Right. And we are -1 crew member. Brittany is having some technical difficulties, so Frankie may or may not be joining us this episode, depending on if things get worked out on their end. So we may have a surprise mid-show. But otherwise, where we left off, it's a little explainable why Frankie isn't quite up to an investigation right now. So now that we've done that, let's talk about what did happen last time. So while attending what they thought was supposed to be a Halloween party on Starbase 21, the crew uncovered a dead body hidden in an access hatch. The body was of a missing maintenance worker and had several vital organs removed. Inspection of the area where the corpse was found uncovered residual genetic material of some unknown life form. It is unclear if this life form is affecting people, but the Ryzen liaison did just try and kill Captain Maxwell. And where we ended off last time was Jan uncovered records of similar murders that had happened. They were hidden in the station's computer banks. The murderer was caught and convicted, a Vulcan named Tolek. All right, so let's switch our views as we do to we go.
Oh, I need you to release Kujera because I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good thing. So, those of you watching, you if you ever have a player that can't access their character, then you have to release their character. So then, which is a clear owner, and that way she can get her character. All right, you should be able to now.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, so we are starting off. Where we're going to begin is actually on the Sequoyah. Dr. Davis, you are in sick bay. You've been working on your treatment of Captain Shin. Captain Shin is actually in sick bay with you at this point when you get a comm call from Lieutenant, what is her name? There we go. Lieutenant Victoria Taylor, who is your communications officer. So your communicator chirps and in your office, and Lieutenant Taylor says, Dr. Davis,
Yes, Lieutenant.
your presence is requested on the Starbase. Apparently, the captain has been injured, and he is requesting you personally.
Forgot about that.
All right.
A
Lovely. I wasn't trying to avoid this party or seeing him in any costume. Yes, I would love to go. Sure. Great.
You will be met on the Starbase by a representative who will escort you to where the captain is. Apparently, they're having a security issue, and they've locked down the Starbase.
That's a hell of a hangover. What did he do?
I don't know, Doctor. I have no idea.
All right.
There's so much to catch you up on.
She will, shut off comms. She'll, gather her field medical gear, muttering to herself the entire time.
All right. And so Captain Shin is sitting there as you come walking out. She's, the sick bay, one little area of it is kind of devoted to her. So as you come walking out, she looks at you, and at this point you've kind of because of your rank and stature, you and she have kind of you're now on like first name basis.
Sure.
So her first name is Tana, if you don't remember. So she looks at you and she says, "What's going on, Cassie? You look stressed."
Captain has requested my presence. He has hurt himself.
All right, you see like a little twinkle in her eye, and she goes, "Really?"
Apparently so. And somehow in the process it's caused some sort of issue. They've shut down things and there's been security called in. I don't know what he did, but I guess I'm gonna find out.
Don't they have medical personnel on a starbase? As a matter of fact, they have more medical personnel on a starbase than they do on a starship.
Listen, I would love to have a good answer for you, but I really don't. Instead, I need to apparently go run errands for him.
All right, she gives you a big smile and she says, "Have fun."
You know it. She gets the rest of her stuff together and heads for, I assume, the transporter room. Is that where she's going?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so you head to the transporter room, and then, moments later, you're beamed onto Starbase 21, and you are met in the Starbase has more than one transporter room, obviously, so you're met in this particular transporter room by a Katian commander, is in full like dress uniform. Katian is a cat person.
Okay.
And he steps forward and he says, "Doctor, I am Commander Krishar. You can call me Ash. I'm to show you where where Captain Maxwell is."
Absolutely. Commander, at your service. Just let me know where I need to go and I'll try to stay out of your hair.
All right. He kind of, you see there's a little bit of a muffled grin at that pun, and nods and says, Right this way, Doctor. And as they're walking, says, have you been briefed on anything that happened?
I assumed it was just recreational injuries. Is there something more I need to know?
Well, I don't. He kind of stammers for a minute and says, well, it's probably best that Commander Kujera or Commander Mers fills you in on that, as it is your captain. I will say that he has been stabbed.
Oh. Did he offend someone? You can tell me it's all right. I understand. He's a bit...
You see the eyes kind of turn a little sideways to you and says, oh, well, Commander Mers actually was the one that stabbed him. It's a long story. I'll let them explain.
Oh, all right. I can see this. I can't wait.
So as you're led into this, it's like a conference room, and as you walk in, you see that there is an area that's kind of sectioned off. Looks like they put up some sort of like temporary shielding in one area. And then over to your right, as you're walking in, you can see where there was like the small stage or whatever, where, you know, presentations would happen and whatnot. And over there, you see Captain Maxwell, shirtless, with his hand on his chest, blood trickling, you know, through his fingers. And Commander Mers is standing next, as well as Lieutenant Salt. You don't see Frankie right now anywhere. And then there is also another person standing there. I will share that picture with you all. The station's commander, Yesh, is standing there also when you come walking in, and this Yesh turns to look at you and he says, "This is a restricted area."
I apologize. The doctor was called.
All right.
I'm just here to see too. And she points at the blood coming out of...
All right, he turns and
Whatever
looks over at Mers, because of course Captain's like, he's not really paying attention. He's kind of grunting and groaning.
This is Dr. Cassie Davis, our chief medical officer. She was requested.
All right. He nods for a moment and then he says, well, then I will let you do your thing, Doctor. And then he walks over to that shielded area and hear him. He's talking to someone who is obviously inside this like cordoned off area. And he just says, how much longer do you have to do this? We've got to get this cleaned up. And you hear the voice say, this is a crime investigation. It's not something that can be done quickly.
So you just see Dr. Davis kind of roll her eyes that she's been given permission to go see to her patient. She's literally like, oh God, please. Okay, Commander, is what's going through her head. So she goes over to Captain Maxwell, and as she does it, she kind of gives Commander Mers the "What did you do?" face. Like,
If I would like to believe that they have known each other and trusted each other and been friends long enough that the look Kujera gives her is one that says, it's not on purpose. You would know if it was on purpose. We haven't come that far. This was an accident.
you're just like, it was an accident. And she's like, okay. She's like an expression that they share between the two of them. It's like, oops, okay, it happened.
That's what I was laughing about the other, like when this first started, because I just imagined Cassie thinking like, it happened and I wasn't there.
Yeah.
He snapped and I wasn't there.
She was just like running through her head, like as they were saying this to her. She's like, yeah, I could see that. I could see that happening. So she starts the process of essentially assessing the wound, cleaning it, and then using her sort of field medic to essentially glue him back together, because I assume that they have probably a pretty high-tech glue that will mostly put him back together. I mean, his body still has to do some healing, but he will be in okay shape. And as she's doing this, she will say to him, Captain, this is going to appear as though you are mostly healed, but you are not. Internally, there are still things that will need to knit back together. So I need you to take it a bit easy, all right? Don't pick up anything heavy. Don't throw anything. Don't get in any bar fights. Try not to flex too much, all right? Just, take it easy.
Just the little Terry Crews titty dance.
All right, he looks at you and he says, all right, Cassie, just tell it to me straight. And he kind of uncovers his pec. And it's dried with blood and whatnot. And I mean, it's obvious that there had probably been like a medic that had started to attend to him, and he had shooed them away. And he was like, and he kind of like pokes it towards you, and he says, I haven't even really had a chance to really look at it. He goes, it just kind of makes me sick to look at it. He says, just tell me straight. Is the nipple still there?
You're fine. All your parts are still there. They're just a little cut.
I love the idea that he got stabbed like up here. It was like all the way over here.
All right, so let's go ahead and have Dr. Davis actually roll a medicine check. As always.
I hope you roll so bad you do take it off.
Listen,
It was there.
she is like on purpose. Like she's gonna give him the Tylenol version of pain relief. On
Okay.
this. She's like, I'm gonna take the edge of the pain off, but I'm not gonna make all the pain go away.
I just imagine like Kujera hearing this and knowing exactly where he's stabbed. Like, where does this man think his nipples are?
Where are your nipples?
All right, so I'm gonna do a control medicine.
Yeah, you choose which attribute you want to use. So whatever works, however you want to interpret it, it's up to you.
I think control medicine makes the most sense because she's just basically trying to do literally some field medicine and triage and put them back together. Okay.
Okay.
What is my target?
Yeah, target DC is 1. This is relatively routine.
Okay.
And then as for focuses, yes, I would say your trauma surgery or emergency medicine, either one of those would apply. So you can click your focus button.
All right, I think emergency medicine makes sense.
Mhm.
All right, and then I think we can just roll.
All right. 2 successes, so you generate a momentum. All right.
Do we already have them? No.
No.
Added them.
Yeah, every session you start back. The pool restarts at 0. So as with just your base success, you're obviously you know that you're able to suture. You're not using like stitches, like you said. It's like like a
adhesive.
Yeah, and it's an adhesive that would like cause the skin to mend together. And as you're looking at it, it is completely a superficial wound. It doesn't even look like it really penetrated very far into the muscle tissue.
Okay.
I mean, in modern like medical terms, this is like 1 stitch.
Yeah.
A flesh wound.
It's a flesh wound.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you're doing this, he's turning his head away and he's like, just tell me when it's done.
Like she's like doing this and she's just like looking over at Mers like like literally like a medical intern on here could have done this.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
And you're fairly certain, as it looks like it looks like the medic that had initially, like the first responder who like came to this place and was like triaging like who's wounded or whatever, initially started doing exactly what you're doing and was doing it properly. when they were interrupted and told to go away.
It's like not even a medical professional could have fixed this, just like any average parent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could have slapped a Band-Aid on that and called it a day.
Right. Yeah. Put a,
Kujera will like come over while you're doing this though, and he'll say, circumstances aside, this does actually work in our favor. There's something going on here, and I'm so glad that you're on the base now to help us figure it out. Lieutenant Carmichael was also here, obviously. She's fine. Got drunk for the first time, I'm pretty sure, on real alcohol. Flirted. Everything that we have to go over with you happened, and now she has to go lay down. Like, probably sleep it off.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. It was very understandable, and she was on leave. So, which part did you actually need me for?
We have to go through some medical records.
Gideon's gonna bust it because she's been vibrating with the idea to tell the doctor all this stuff that's been happening. So she's gonna actually I'm assuming it's like a kind of foam or something that goes on or whatever the stitchy thing that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
She is going to, as soon as that is kind of on, she is going to push the captain aside a little and be like, okay. She's gonna get really close to you. So we've got some kind of genetic alien. It travels through bodies and steals their organs and controls their minds and other things. It's really fascinating.
If records are how I think they're proving, this seemed to have happened before on this starbase about 4 years ago.
Yeah, so Jan looked it up, and it turns out that this Vulcan a couple of years ago named Tolik or something like that, he got convicted for the crime of murdering all these people a couple years ago. But maybe it wasn't that guy. Maybe he was being controlled by this alien life form genetic thing. Because there's a dead guy. I realize I forgot to tell you that there's a dead guy.
Oh, there's a body.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very helpful. Can we start there? Because I would love to take a look at it.
Yeah, okay. So we were just getting the party kicked off when Jan told me that there was a corpse in the wall. And we found the corpse, and it turns out that this guy was stuffed in there, poor dude. He's missing his GM will insert here organs.
Heart and lungs.
Heart and lungs. And he's not he's not like a wet dad. He's like a semi-kind dry dad. And so let me see if I can remember my notes from last time. I'm sorry. I can't remember. So anyway, it
Basically,
might pass.
Dr. Davis, as Gideon is talking, will just sort of pat the captain on the head and just do the sort of you're going to be fine. And then she starts walking off with Gideon.
Yeah. Okay. So I will bring Dr. Davis over to the dead guy. And so we found this guy. And then the security guard, the bodyguard's behind the shield, right?
Yes. Yes, the bodyguard is behind the shield. And the bodyguard's name is Bortum.
Bortum. Okay. I definitely didn't know that, but that's okay. So, anyway, so we were over here with the dead guy, and then the bodyguard to the ambassador came up and was like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. And then he took the ambassador with him, and then we were like, oh, Spidey senses are tingling. We went to go look over at the ambassador on the video feeds, the security cameras, and he was choking her to death. So then we fried him a little. I think he's fine, but you might want to check on his vitals a little bit because I definitely shocked him kind of a lot. And then it seemed to maybe blip the creature out of him. And then it went to another person. And they were trying to kill the captain, and that's when Kujera stabbed him. not to help, but to not to help kill him, but to help save him.
Not to help, just for fun. He stabbed him.
Yeah.
No.
So the hot lady, is she the one behind the shield because we think it's still in her?
Yeah.
That is actually up to however you all want to do it. The anything sensitive could be kept behind the shielding to keep it from going anywhere. So the dead body, the security guard, or bodyguard, and if you want her back there too, that's completely okay.
Yeah,
Can
but
they be like
handcuffs
behind, or like can it also separate in them so they're kind of their own little cell?
Sure.
'Cause-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Cool. So the last thing was we found this girl, this lady, and we think it might still be inside her because we've got energy signatures, right?
You
That's something.
you
Well,
would
yeah,
you
because
would,
that's how we tracked it into
Right.
Jack's room.
right. Yeah, you would actually scanned for that particular genetic
Pattern.
sequence throughout that deck of the Starbase, and that's when you found it in the captain's quarters.
Uh-huh.
So let me just ask a couple of questions. The first question is, when you say a genetic alien,
Mhm.
you just mean an unknown life form, correct?
Yeah, so we think it's an alien, or it might be some really weird, spooky disease, or I don't know. The odds are it's probably an alien because, I mean, hello. But it had a specific genetic pattern that got like sprayed over the wall where we found poor janitor man. And then we use that pattern to track it in other people.
All right. So when it was shocked out of the body that it was in before,
Uh-huh.
how did it manifest? Was it a cloud and an energy?
I think it was an energy, right? It flickered the lights.
Yep. And then when Mers stabbed the liaison, it actually there was actually like a purple glow before
Right.
she passed out.
Right. Okay.
How did it travel from one body to the next?
I guess really quickly because I didn't get to see too much of it.
Interesting. Did it travel via power, like power lines, or don't know?
Uh-uh.
Flickering lights. I'm just asking. All right.
Those are great questions, though. I wish you'd been here earlier because that would have been some salient questions to have asked. Because I don't know, maybe you breathe it in and we're all screwed. That would suck.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I'm just thinking of this in terms of a disease, or more like a parasite. That's probably a closer word for it.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Good movie.
It seems like a parasite of some sort. Now, okay. Does this genetic material has anyone done any research to see if there's any similar genetic material that we have picked up on any of the other planets that we have been to and researched? Has there been any?
That's
so
a
we can maybe
good
figure out where it
point.
came from?
We could probably search for it like a code. Hey, Jan! And you're going to see Gideon turn to the little corgi that's next to her and be like, can we maybe search to see if, you know what? Let's start, because we're here, let's start with the Starbase and see if that has anything that's similar. And then we could maybe branch that out to the Sequoyah if we don't find anything on here.
Are you authorizing access to the complete computer system?
Hey, Commander. Am I authorizing complete access to me and Jan to the computer system?
Mm. Yes.
Yeah! But
Right.
we're not doing anything spooky or weird. We're just doing this, okay? Yeah, no like extracurricular activities.
Of course
No,
not.
and you better keep an eye on him. Oh man.
So I would like to do that, but I also would like to make sure that Jan is not infiltrating the Starbase with some sort of ulterior AI god conundrum.
Okay, well, that sounds like a contested check here.
Contested Jan, you sassy boy.
Yeah, contested.
This is
Yes.
gonna be fine, you guys.
That's okay.
Oh, we should just-
I am Gideon, Queen of the Engineering.
All right.
Define spooky and weird, Jared. Well, there's a lot of spooky and weird stuff you can do. An entire computer system of a Starbase all to yourself, but
Yeah, you can play
probably-
Monster Mash 15 times in a row.
yeah, we probably don't have time to get too much into it. Anyway, okay, so let's do control.
Okay.
Because I'm finessing this, and engineering, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I've got a value. I definitely have a focus in computers.
All right. Let me set your DC here real quick,
Oh, okay.
because you're trying to circumvent anything that Jan is doing like on the side. So I will roll Jan's computers check, and then depending on how many successes it gets, then that will determine the number of successes that you need.
Sapaholic, I saw that.
All right.
What?
Said if she had any bits right now, she'd give them to the GM to make this more interesting. I hope I'm using the right
Wow.
pronouns. If I'm not, I'm sorry.
All right.
He
So
needs a threat
I'm
anyway.
I'm spending 2 threat to give Jan 4 dice.
This isn't gonna be fine.
All right. So I succeeded 4 times.
Oh my god.
So that it means your DC is going to be 4.
I
oh,
generated 1 momentum for you.
no.
Take what
Okay,
you
hold on.
can.
I have to make this windowed and bring it over because my eyesight is very bad. Okay, so I am going to do DC of 4. Holy
Mhm.
bananas. I think. What do I want to? Can I use a value for this?
Let's
It would
see.
be a little bit of a flex. Because I can either do You're Never Alone when you can make your own robot friends, but you can maybe also make your own robot friends obey your wishes, or Perfection is meaningless, nothing is beyond improving, AI gods are not perfect, we need to make sure they're on the straight and narrow. It's a little bit of a square peg.
Is that the only way to use determination? Is to use your value?
Yeah, it would have to match a value, yes.
Okay.
So
Okay, hold
you do have the 1 momentum, and you could always give me threat for extra dice.
I wonder if I want to switch. Okay, hold on. All right, so values no go, right?
No, not really.
Okay, so
But on
But-
the bright side, this action doesn't counteract or isn't counter to any of your values, so you're not challenging any of your values right now. So that's good too.
okay, but with my focus, I'd have to use a momentum to get enough dice, right?
Your DC is 4, so that means you're using engineering with your control. So that means 5s or less count as 2 successes. So if you're rolling 2 dice, theoretically you could do it with 2 dice.
All right, I'm gonna use the momentum because odds are I'll probably be able to earn it back for us later.
Do it.
So then that's 3 dice plus my focus. Oh, I'm scared now. I beat him before, but I don't know if I can beat him again. All right, I'm gonna hit the red button. I'm scared, guys.
2
I did
successes.
not succeed. Oh wait,
Oh.
2 successes, but I did not succeed.
Correct.
Oh.
So, all right. So you allow Jan to plug into the Starbase 21's master computer system.
God, I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
I'm gonna get in all the trouble.
All right. So
Oh,
what
we are in
what were you wanting Jan to do now?
I wanted Jan to cross-reference the genetic pattern that we found with any existing logs from any of the missions, because they do a lot of scientific research here, right?
Yes.
So I wanted them to cross-reference the genetic pattern that we found with any research materials that were either brought back from other planets or generated here on the Starbase.
Okay. All right. So Jan is like processing, working,
Okay, Jan.
and then kind of snaps to and says, Lab 442.
Okay.
There is material and log entries matching this genetic material.
Can you pull up the log entries here?
All right, you see the first. All right, so Mers, you're looking at the screen, and the first thing that pops up is a log entry, and it's it's an audio log, obviously, but everything's talk to text anyway. So you're reading it, and the first thing that pops up is a warning that unauthorized viewing of this is a court-martial offense.
Oh shit. I have a quick question.
Mhm.
And it's okay to say no. Does Gideon know that she failed at catching or preventing Jan from messing around?
Jan beat you by two total successes, so no.
Okay, so Gideon is under the assumption that she nailed this.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the life support didn't shut down. Jan didn't say, "I now control Starbase 21." So it's not. If Jan did something they're not supposed to, it was very subtle.
Okay, it's the difference between Gideon telling the Starbase to update their passwords and Gideon being Kubrick about it and thinking that she didn't, like, it's not necessary.
Right. Yeah. You didn't even. If you still had the momentum, I would say you could spend the momentum to maybe have like be like weary about it at this point. But I mean, obviously, your character is not, is not naive. So something like this pops up, and you're seeing what Mers is seeing. Jan shouldn't have been able to get access to this.
Okay, cool. You're the best doggy AI in the whole world.
So, Mers, it like I said, it's at the very, very top of this top secret violation is a court-martial offense, and then underneath that is just the number 31.
Okay. I know what that. Well, do I know what that is?
At a command level, I think you would, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Rihanna knows what it is.
All right. No. He's going to look at that, and like you can see him reading it like 3 times to make sure he sees exactly what he's seeing, and he's going to turn and say, I need to call someone.
Okay.
Should we watch? Well, or should we wait?
Rihanna doesn't know who Kujera can call, but boy howdy, do I have any friends that are higher? Do I have anyone who could help me with this?
Well, anybody of command grade would be able to at least you could at least talk to them about it, but beyond that,
All right.
Wow.
Amanda Shin is relaxing on our starship. Perhaps you can
There's Commander Shen. I'm not trusting Yesh.
God, no.
I'm gonna go over to Max.
All right, Max is sitting there. He like I said, he's all the way across the room. He isn't. He's like he has a hold of a glass with a little bendy straw, and he's like shaking, and he takes a little bit of a drink, and
He's got an apple juice.
right, he's got a juice box.
Okay, yeah. Kujera will like grab a chair and sit by him and get close and say,
So
all right.
so Kuj, tell me straight now. Are they equal?
Oh my God.
Kujera's gonna look him in the eye and say, "You've been playing this up a lot, and I appreciate it."
All right, you see a little twinkle in his eye.
Getting Cassie here was important. I do need her. I need help on this one. Max, whatever this is tied to, it's tied to Section 31.
All right, you see he takes another little drink of his juice box, and then he kind of looks. He was looking down at it, and then you see his eyes turn up towards you, and he says, "Yeah, I know.
How much do you know?
I don't know everything, but I suspected a few things once everything started happening."
I don't like it when the captain knows things. That scares me. The captain knowing things means this is really scary. I'm not there. Gideon's not there, but I'm working him frightened.
Kujera like rubs a hand across his face and he says, "What are our options here?"
Well, if they're involved, then and whatever if it has something to do with them or something that they were working on, and it got loose, then this entire Starbase, our ship, maybe even the El Dorado, which came into contact with this Starbase, could be in jeopardy.
The only thing that I can think of is to play absolutely stupid about this.
All right, you see his eyes are still a little twinkly.
Oh, God. Well, if there's one thing he's good at.
He's like, all right, Kujera
My
says,
time has come.
all right. How do we fix this while looking as incompetent as possible?
He shakes his head. He says, "Well, that's a good question. Now that Cassie's here, if she makes this a medical emergency, she's the ranking medical officer now on this Starbase. She can lock everything down, and she can take control. Even they can't override that when it's a medical contamination emergency.
All right.
At least for now."
Okay. So here's my plan. Cassie calls emergency. We get in there. Gideon and I figure out some way to get whatever this parasite is out of your ex. Contain it. Act stupid. Once it comes up, we can hand it over to whatever command shows up and say we did our job and be out.
He takes another sip of his juice box and he says, "Sounds good. I can keep Yesh occupied." And then he looks over and says, as for who you've got locked up in there, I suppose it's Cassie's call."
he'll stand up and adjust his freaking Renaissance man outfit he still has on, and he'll look Max and smile and say, also, they've always been very even. And then
Yeah.
he'll turn.
I'm telling you.
It's all about symmetry.
All right. Kujera will turn, or will walk over to Cassie and say, call medical emergency. We need to lock the base down.
Right. Someone's gonna ask me why. I should probably have an answer for that.
Well, it's a little better that you don't. It's a medical emergency because there's some sort of parasite, and that's all we know. He's going to turn to Gideon and say, I need you to make sure that they have absolutely no idea who looked at those files, who even tried to look at the files.
Okay.
But,
So, wait, so erase the fact that we looked at them?
yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, we didn't really look at them, right? Because we just saw the warning thing.
Yes. Make sure just anything. If I'm not very computer savvy, and you are, and so I'm trusting you. And this trust is a lot, that whoever actually can get into those files doesn't know that we even looked near them.
Okay. I can do that.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
While Mers was off talking with Maxwell, Dr. Davis was gonna look at that file
Okay.
for sure.
Well, hold on, though, because you need Jan and me to do that.
She was gonna say, press play. I need to know what this is.
Gideon's going to be very conflicted about that because she doesn't want to be court-martialed and the commander told her to wait.
Yes, but this is a medical issue, and I need to understand what I'm dealing with.
Well, before this is Rihanna saying, I just want
No metagaming. We're in it.
well, no, I'm just saying, would Dr. Davis be a high enough command that she would know what Section 31 is?
So Cassie Davis's rank is lieutenant commander. That it's possible, I would say.
Okay.
With her background, I would say it's actually probably likely.
Okay. Do you, Leslie, want to know what Section 31 is before
I can take my
you
headphones
say
off.
yes?
I'll take my headphones off and you guys can say what it is and then Gideon can be out of the loop. That's
Okay,
exciting.
that would be fun.
This is 100% her values. Her values are some rules can be bent and others can be broken.
You're
Her
100%
perspective
correct.
is, I need to know this to do my job. I don't care whose rule it is.
Okay. All right. Before you do it, so Section 31, and please jump in if I don't get everything. They are like the FBI, CIA, super strong arm of of Starfleet,
Mhm.
and their whole thing is, to a T, it's rules can be bent, rules can be broken, but on a much grander scale of like, if people need to die, if lords need to be assassinated, if we have to kill our own officers or an ambassador or something like that, if we need to frame someone, we will for the quote unquote greater good.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they are 100% like, we're on the side of the good guys, but it's like, oh boy, you were bad people.
Excellent. Fun.
Yeah, so just and they are entirely like extrajudicial. Like they don't answer to anybody. Like they're one of those things where people say like, oh, they don't even exist, but it's like, woof.
Right. Yeah, and that's 100% correct. Is that they are like the Federation or the Starfleet, like, boogeyman. It's like the black ops off the books, like she said. So yeah, most of your rank and file or even upper rank personnel either think that it's all like conspiracy theory nut stuff, or it's it's a scary story that they tell cadets or things like that. So,
Okay.
and very they're very careful about revealing themselves to anybody.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's still your choice. Oops, excuse me. It's still your choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Rules, schmoles.
so Dr. Davis, knowing this as a player, Leslie, does Dr. Davis know about Section 31? Would she have known about this, knowing her background and things like that?
I think from her background, she may have like rubbed up against it a couple of times when there were outbreaks and she was dealing with people who seemed a little bit too conveniently okay with taking out certain individuals. But I think she probably knows some, but not everything. Does that make sense?
Sure, right.
Like kind of like I know
The
a
surface
few
stuff.
things, I don't know everything.
Okay.
She's very like laser focused on what her thing is, and her thing is like, I need to know what they found so I know how dangerous this is, so I know who's gonna die, how many people are gonna die, how can I stop it? Like that's all she cares about. So she sees that and she's just like,
Right. All right. So, what for the purposes of the production, I will go ahead and tell you, Leslie, what you see, and then but the others.
Well, does Gideon go along with it? Because Gideon doesn't have to.
Yeah, Gideon, you don't have to. You're muted.
You're muted.
I'm muted? No, I
No,
didn't.
never mind.
No.
Yeah, sorry, my mic was a little far away.
Oh.
Gideon is going to give you a very conflicted look because first off, this is secrets, and Gideon loves finding out secrets. She loves finding out information, and this is information she didn't know. She's dying to look at that. But
Mhm.
also, the commander looked very upset when they saw it. And them going over to the captain means that this is serious things because Kujera or the commander not just making a decision on their own and actually looking for another authority figure is concerning. So Gideon is going to vibrate in conflicted, like, torn excitement, like literally like a dog that is been told to stay but knows there's stuff, like a treat. And she's gonna say, if you make it an order, I will do it.
Gideon, I'm ordering you to press play.
Okay. Just like I'm ordering you, she's already done it.
Okay.
All right, and it looks like we have 2 momentum. Saf, is it momentum, or are you awarding 2 points of threat? I just want to be clear before it's awarded. So those of you watching don't know what that means in chat. If for 50 bits you can. Okay, so it's momentum. So 2 points of momentum have been awarded to the team.
Thank you, Sam.
So
We'll say, Rihanna, your disappointment here would have been, or like your elation for Gideon doing the right thing would have been very short-lived, because after this, Gideon would have made it her mission to find out everything about this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was either now or later.
all right, so you press play, and now you're watching this as Mers is talking to the captain. So this is happening all like simultaneously as things are happening, and what you're seeing is like a multicam shot of different interrogations, and the person that they're interrogating is a Vulcan, and you see them. This Vulcan is getting worked over, not like, like beat up or whatever, but just like, over like a extended period of time. They've got them, kind of, sleep deprived and all that other stuff. And then you see a laboratory where this Vulcan is now, has been in, and you see a few people in there in like jumpsuits and whatnot, and one of them is Yesh, the commander of this facility. And you see Yesh walks over and holds up what appears to be like a glowing orb and shows it to the Vulcan, and then just shoves it into their chest. And then you see all of these like scientists and doctors just kind of like going around and like looking to see what, like prodding and probing and things like that. And then Yesh kind of steps back and is watching.
Okay. So we turn that off.
And we're going to turn that off. And then I'm assuming that's when the commander comes back to tell me to scrub every presence.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try and do that now.
And so when you come over at this point and you tell her that you need to, you want the ship basically to be shut down and for her to take over because this is a medical emergency. This time she pauses when you say that, and then she says, "Good idea." And then she goes over to talk to the commander. She doesn't say anything else. So she's going to head over to talk to the commander of the station. It's Commander, what is his name?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, he actually had walked out of.
He walked out.
Yeah. So he had actually left and like stepped out of the conference room that you're in. So out into like the antechamber just out front.
Okay. So, and I presume that Commander Mers is following Dr. Davis.
Yeah, I guess for now he gave Gideon the, let's scrub that, and then he'll follow Cassie.
Okay.
All right.
None the wiser.
That's right.
I mean, you are welcome to make an insight equivalent check on
Why?
Gideon.
He trusts his crew.
I mean,
why would
Gideon does look a little rattled, so...
But there's a lot going on. He wouldn't doubt you.
Technically, Gideon didn't lie to you. You didn't say don't click it.
Nope.
Technically,
Nope.
there was nothing there.
He
You just
didn't think he had to.
Well, Gideon's a creature of impulse. And
Yeah, and Cassie was there. He thought it was all fine.
That's true.
Sometimes
See,
that
Gideon
Cassie.
didn't betray you. It was Cassie. That's all
Both
that
of
Gideon
you. Oh, is that your argument?
It's all
Oh, yeah.
Cassie's
It was
fault.
my commanding officer.
officer. That's why I made her give me an order.
Oh,
No, it's true. It's totally all on Cassie. It really is. It
Mhm.
was legitimately all on Cassie because she gave the order. Okay, so she's gonna head out to talk to the commander at this point. And she, whereas she kind of came into this with sort of a lackadaisical attitude, as it were, she kind of thought that this was just like, I don't know, somebody got really drunk and offended somebody, and whatever. She has a much more serious and stern look at her face at this point when she's sort of approaching Commander Yesh.
Okay.
What is he doing? Who is he talking to? And what is happening as she's walking?
All right.
out?
So as you walk out into this, like I said, it's like an antechamber of this conference room, and you see that there is a security lieutenant standing there, talking to him, and also Commander Ash or Krishar is out there also, the one that had escorted you here, but they are not talking to Ash. Ash is kind of off on their own, looking at a computer terminal, kind of looking up something. Just happens to be in the room at the same time.
Okay.
So as you come
Who
walking
was
in,
Ash again? I'm sorry.
the cat person,
Oh, the cat person the commander who originally.
right? And you know that just from the insignias and whatnot, Commander Krishar is actually not a crewman of the Starbase, but actually a member of the crew of the USS El Dorado.
All right. So he came from the El Dorado, which was the other starship. And who is the commander then of the base? Is that...
That's Yesh.
That's Yesh. Okay. So she walks over to Commander Yesh, and she waits for him to pause on whatever conversation that he's having.
All right. He is currently talking about, as you come walking up, says, the temporary shielding. The lieutenant's talking to him. It says the temporary shielding is relatively stable. It doesn't seem like any of them have any kind of weaponry or anything that's capable of disrupting it. So I think it should hold at least for now. And then once cleared, I can escort them to the brig. And he's like, "Very good, Lieutenant. Go ahead and get the brig prepared if we need it. I'll have engineering take a look and see if there's any other additional precautions that needs to happen." And Lieutenant nods and turns, and just as they start to walk away, that's when Yesh turns and sees you and the two of you, and says, "So how's Max?"
Commander, I know that we have not met before, but I just need to have a quick conversation with you about the medical emergency that you have on your station right now. We currently have a parasite that has essentially jumped from body to body through an unknown transmission method. And as such, we need to not only issue a medical emergency for the station, but for both ships that have come into contact with it. And I'll be taking control of both this station and the ships from now until we have this situation solved.
You see his face just kind of like he was like listening to you, and as you're continuing to talk, his face becomes more and more like stone. And he says, "Have you already filed your report?"
That is what I'm working on right now, but I thought I would give you the courtesy of letting you know what was happening.
I see.
I don't like that.
Kujera is like really wide-eyed because like he's only heard Cassie like lose her accent in the like professional anger thing like maybe once before.
Yeah, she looks
pissed.
real serious. So if there's anything else that I can do for you, please let me know. But in the meantime, we have a lot of work to do. So I need all of your staff to have an emergency meeting because we need to have a discussion very quickly. And I'm sure that the commander over here of his ship, we're going to have a conversation as well, and there'll need to be a meeting for them as well. We need everyone to be up to date on what is happening, and we're going to have to quarantine this entire area. No one in or out until we figure out what is happening.
That is within your power, Doctor. He doesn't say yes, doesn't say no. He just says, "That is within your power, Doctor."
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for being helpful.
Just let my office know if there's anything that you need. Is there anything else for right now?
If you could, actually, I would love to have access to the security systems, as particularly any cameras on board, so that we can make sure that we're keeping track of where everybody is.
I'll have Lieutenant Phillips handle that right away.
Oh, you didn't need permission for that.
I'm doing it the legal way, woman.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying. Gideon had that about 45 minutes ago.
She's then gonna pivot on her heel and walk over to Commander, is it Kuchar?
Kreshar.
Kreshar.
Just call him Ash. That's it's the easiest way to pronounce.
Okay. So she walks over to Commander Ash.
All right. And he's looking at the computer system, and as you come walking up, he says, "I'm fairly certain that Commander Yesh has not been talked to like that in a long time."
Well,
He about to get reacquainted.
You see, the medical staff here is in abject fear of him. So to have a doctor talk to him that way, he's probably going and punching his pillow right now.
I'm accustomed to difficult patients. What can I say?
The
All right.
medical wait a second. The medical crew is scared of him?
Yeah,
Ash just said.
it's odd.
Hmm.
It's one of the it's one.
Liam Neeson-y looking motherfricker.
Shit's about to go down. We'll need to have a conversation with their with his onboard medical, and we'll learn a little bit more about that. But that's interesting. So I'm not sure if you overheard me, but we will need to be quarantining these 3 ships, and I will be in charge until we get this situation under control. Any information that you have, of course, would be very valuable, and I would love it if you could take a look at your crew and just do a general security rundown. We want to make sure that no one is exhibiting any unusual behaviors. Have everyone run through your medical bay. I think that Gideon here should be able to provide some information about what they should look for in scans to make sure that no one's been affected.
Uh-huh.
All right, he nods and he says, "Well, the El Dorado is you, as the doctor, you probably didn't even know this, but he nods and says, well, the El Dorado is on the way to on a mission, so I will send them a message that you wished for them to return." You see, Doctor, I was here on as a liaison for this party, and he rolls his eyes, as a favor to my captain, because my captain didn't want to be involved. So just myself, Lieutenant Dolans, and Lieutenant Garcia are the only members of the El Dorado that are actually here.
Did any of your other members of your starship spend any time on base or have any reason to come here for leave or anything else?
I would like to say no, but standard operating procedure would be that we did get a resupply while we were
I'm
here.
afraid
So
they need to turn around and come back.
understood. I'll place that message right away.
Send my apologies.
Will do. Is there anything else that you require of me or any member of the crew that I have here?
Actually, if you don't mind, I would love to speak to you a little bit. And she kind of looks around in private. Perhaps on our ship, when you have a moment.
Sure. Whenever you have time, Doctor. I'm completely free.
After you dealt with your crew and let them know what's going on, then we'll have another conversation. So then, at this point, she turns back around and she looks at Commander Mers, and she says, "This is gonna be fun."
An understatement, I'm sure. All right.
So we're gonna have to have everyone on this base scanned. We'll have to quarantine probably by sections and scan by sections. So I will need the entire medical crew here to help me. I do not want to bring any of my people from our ship because I don't want to accidentally infect anyone. So whoever is on base has to stay on base now. Whoever is on ship has to stay on ship for the time being. My crew can handle scanning everyone on our ship, but dealing with this on the base will be, there's a lot of people here. It's going to take some time, and I'm concerned because we don't know how this thing is transmitted. So if we could get that worked out quickly, that would be helpful.
Well, Commander Kashar's crew hasn't been here this long, so realistically, they have the least amount of chance to be infected by something. So if we get them out of the way, they can then help us check everyone else.
Also,
I-
didn't Gideon already locate the thing?
Yes. You identified the, but that was only on this section of the deck. This section of this deck.
There could be more. That
Yeah,
would
there
be
could be
really
more.
bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gideon can assist on that.
Okay.
Gideon has a couple of questions.
So at this point, Dr. Davis is back. So
Yeah, we'll walk back to
Yeah.
you and Captain May.
All right.
There
So
more?
Gideon, while they were outside, what were you doing?
Gideon wants to know if Tulek was part of the medical crew.
Or like who he was, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
Gideon wants to know who this Vulcan was.
Okay. Looking through that actually would require a bit of a little computer finagling. Even though you have access to the access to this file that Jan uncovered.
Let me see if I can redeem myself with engineering. All right. Let's see. Control engineering. Well, I don't really want to use a determination for it, but I can use a computer and I can add a focus. What's my DC?
Okay, this one's going to be a little bit difficult, so I'm going to say it's going to be a DC 3.
Okay. It's just not DC 4.
Yes. All right. You do have 2 momentum in the pool.
All right,
And does your determination, if you wish to use any of your values, do any of your values apply?
I'm going to use a momentum.
Okay.
Unless Leslie just made a full body upset. Do you not want me to use momentum? I can put it back.
No. Leslie was just sweating from having to tell all these people what to do.
All right, so
You're doing
that's
great.
3 dice plus my focus. And DC 3. Let's do it.
3 successes on the nose.
Cool. No momentum though. What's with my mojo today?
Well, you're rolling pretty high DC tests
Yeah.
here, so that makes it tough.
Okay, so
All right.
Gideon wants to know everything about this guy.
Okay, so with 3 successes, that's really difficult. So you really start going into these files, and you find out 2 things about Tolek. Tolek's name is not Tolek. Tolek's name is Tolinor. And Tolinor was a suspected Romulan spy.
Ah. Okay.
Now, in the time, right now, the Federation and the Romulans, I mean, there's still the neutral zone and everything like that, but it's not like, Starfleet personnel see Romulans all the time. I mean, it's only just been probably, 3 years since there was a first visual confirmation of what a Romulan looked like. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So those are the 2 things: Tolinor and suspected Romulan spy.
Correct.
Okay.
And this was all, you find that in a security dossier about this person Tolek. Now, what was Tolek doing on the Starbase? They were there for structural engineering.
Ah, okay. My kind of man, except for the spying and stuff. Although technically, I guess that's what I'm doing right now. Anyway, takes one to know one, I guess. Okay, so once I found out everything on that, I would like to obey my commander's orders and scrub my presence from these files.
Okay.
I'm
Again,
going to use a determination for that.
you are going to use the determination for that. Okay. That's, again, you're trying to, because first of all, whoever would access these files would be probably have a lot of savvy when it comes to computer stuff, very likely. And then someone to look into who's been accessing this, other than like the imprint of whatnot. You can do. I'll put it to you this way. If you just want to do a cursory erase, so that way, the casual viewer isn't going to say, "Oh, the last person who checked out this library book was Gideon Salt." Or you could do it. It depends on how deep you want it. If you wanted like a total scorched earth, never ever no trace, that's going to be pretty difficult.
The commander was very serious about no trace. And that was after the doctor told me to look at the thing. Gideon does not want the doctor nor the commander to get in trouble.
Okay.
So Gideon is going to do her damnedest to make sure that no one will ever be able to trace it back to them.
Okay. Then DC 3.
DC 3. Okay, I'm going to use... I got my focus, and then I hit the little red button for determination.
Correct.
Okay. Should I use a moment? Oh, we got bits! Oh, an anonymous cheerer gave us bits. I
Thank
love you,
you.
anonymous cheerer. I'm going to add those, and then I'm going to use one.
There you go.
All right, I'm going to add to my die.
Mhm.
Let's do it.
4 successes. So you generated a momentum.
Yay!
Thank
All right.
you.
So it is.
Baby got her groove back.
That's right. So it is. You have. It would take. Basically, you've made it so that no amount of digging is going to determine that these files have been accessed. And a little bit easier would have been just like wipe out all, that they have been accessed ever, but that looks a little suspicious. So you were able to like fine tune it just so that way your access is removed and any access before that is still there.
Yeah, okay. Gideon is going to close up shop there. The last thing that Gideon wants to know is everything about... Although I guess I wonder if this should have been before she scrubbed it. Shoot. She wants the deets on Yesh.
Oh, okay. You could actually do that. It would be spending a point of determination, not pushing the button to affect a roll, but what you're doing is you're affecting something, the story narratively.
Okay.
So you could spend 1 for that.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. So you retained a bit of the information, of Yesh, and then you wipe out all access and proof of access. So you still have the file on a because of the era, it looks like a little solid state drive
Cool.
tape.
Old school. Love it. Okay. But I would need to plug that back into a computer to
You could
do
plug it. You could actually access it with your tricorder if you wanted to.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay. All right. So Commander Yesh is his background is in he graduated the same year as the captain because they had gone to
He is not looking as good as the captain. Oh man.
Maybe. And everyone goes into Starfleet the same age.
All
yeah.
right. Okay, that's true.
That's right.
fair.
You're gonna
That's
have
fair.
them side by side there. They went to the academy together. His focus was security and tactics and tactical, but with he was really heavily recruited by Starfleet intelligence.
Okay.
Right, he spoke, and I just pissed him off. Boom.
He was, and obviously there is there's a bit of a rank discrepancy, obviously, because Jack is, he got his captaincy pretty young, whereas Yesh is still a commander, but you see that Yesh actually has on his record a couple of reprimands that have been, they're official reprimands on his record, but you have to be of a certain rank to access what he did. So he wasn't able to get rid of the bad mark, but he was able to block access to exactly what he did.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then the other thing is he's been at Starbase 21. He's been here for about 4 years.
Ha. In
And
line with what happened in the past.
and also
Okay.
there is ever since he's been here, he has been. You can see where he has been requisitioning all kinds of technology and things like that. Some of it, like authorizing different deliveries of tech and things like that. You actually see that, and actually, you know what? I'm going to make you roll for this one. And it's going to be you know what? I'm not. You spent a determination. I'm not going to make you roll. You see that he has, when he first got here, he actually requisitioned the transfer of personnel and brought 2 Starfleet highly like decorated Starfleet engineers here to do some work of the name Dr. and Dr. Carmichael. This was like I said, like 4 years ago.
Oh no.
Doctors Carmichael, they seem to turn up places.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan has a theory, but I don't know if Gideon's put it together yet. Needs more information to draw conclusions. Okay, with that...
Let me add one more thing.
Oh, yeah.
About
More information.
yeah. So he's been here for 4 years. Right after he got here, he requisitioned that the Carmichaels come and do some work here on the station. Not long after they left, Yesh was awarded a citation for being wounded in the line of duty, but there's no record of what happened to him. And that happened about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
Saf.
Yes. Yeah, extremely sus. Gideon is going to turn to Jan.
Jan's sitting there with the puppy dog smile, so just an open mouth.
Oh, you're adorable. This is a very cute form for you. I'm going to kind of regret it when you have to go back to the all-seeing eyeball. Did we check Commander Yesh to make sure he had all of his insides?
Negative.
Is Yesh still around?
Commander Yesh is in his office.
Can we check to see if he still has all of his insides?
His negative.
Negative, we can't check, or negative, he doesn't have all of his insides?
Commander Yesh is in his office. His office is unscannable.
That does sound like a challenge. All right, so maybe need to get closer to Yesh, which is really unfortunate because before this moment, I was hoping never to talk to him again. All right, let's go talk to the doctor. So Gideon is gonna go find Dr. Davis
All right.
and
We're
the
walking
commander.
towards
They're walking as you say. Well, let's go find the doctor, and then you hear the door go, and they
Right
come walking
timing.
in.
Commander, Operation Mr. Clean was completed, and no signs. We'll be fine there. No problems. So I got a little information. Maybe we should find someplace a little less out in the open for some sharing of info.
Well, I was just going to suggest that we should go to the medical quarters because we need to get acquainted with the medical staff.
Okay. By the way, Leslie,
Mhm.
Gideon is wearing a white t-shirt, like knee-length black bike shorts, no shoes, and has a pair of like green kind of, they look like this actually. They're like this. right? Goggles like tucked up on her head, and her hair is like sticking out in every direction because she's still in costume too.
I'm sure we can find some more normal clothing. And she looks at the both of them like,
That would probably lend a little bit more credence to our information, huh?
yeah, I think that would be a good idea. At this
Mers
point.
has absolutely no shame. Because this is not, like, dressing up is not a trill thing, but in his mind, it's just like, whatever, it's a holiday that most of my crew celebrates. He's been holding his own in his little doublet.
Yep.
So, just so I understand, this is just for me, Leslie. The conference room that we are in now has like makeshift cells, as it were.
Yes, one contains the Ryzen liaison who tried to kill the captain, who may or may not still have this entity in them. Another one has the security, the bodyguard of the soon-to-be ambassador who tried to kill her,
Okay.
and a dead body.
And a dead body. Okay. So I guess first thing we need to let Starfleet know. Back in character. So, Commander, we need to let Starfleet know what we're doing here. Can you possibly have someone from our ship send that information so that we're not relying on Commander Shin?
Oh, absolutely. So he'll start getting on that, and I guess like filing reports, whatever he needs to do. He'll also take the opportunity to start working with Ash to get his crew cleared first, so that they can help clearing everybody else.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Commander Ash. Like I said, there's only 3 crew members of the El Dorado here. There's Commander Ash, which you've already met. There is a Lieutenant Dolans, which is an operations officer, which you have not met, and then Lieutenant Garcia, which you met briefly, like right in the beginning of the party. They were like standing in the doorway when you had all walked in, and was kind of like looking at you weird, and then kind of left. So yeah, getting them together is not hard, because all Ash has to do is just kind of notify them where to be. So wherever you want them to be, they'll be.
All right.
Probably rendezvous at the medical bay so that we can get everyone checked out.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to rely on you, Lieutenant Salt, to help us essentially create the scanning that we need.
Uh-huh.
So, is this something that we can do with tricorders? What is the best way to accomplish
I
this?
think the last time we did it was via tricorder. I think that's how we pinpointed it.
Yeah, you've got enough. You've got enough juice that you can probably do it. A short wave, short range scan of a life form. You could do it pretty easily with a medical tricorder at this point.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Easy peasy, Doc. No problem.
You would have to maybe alter it just a little bit to, or at least feed in the information that the search parameters or whatever. But
Okay.
Yeah. So let's head to medbay. Let's meet the medical staff, then get that set up. We can get everyone sort of ready to start doing that. We need to clear medical staff first to make sure no one is a problem there, and then we can move on to the rest of the ship. And like I said, we'll have to work on it in accordance. I'm assuming the medical staff here will be able to wrangle everyone on board to accommodate our request.
We also need to go to the Ryzen ambassador, who is currently the only one we quote unquote know as an infected source. Double check the bodyguard, but she right now probably still has it in her.
She still has her organs, right? We checked her for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's currently unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we need to figure out a way to get whatever is in
Ooh,
her out of her too.
sorry. Jareth just gave us some hot techno babble.
Oh.
Have to alter the duotronic relay and the tricorder to pick up subtle harmonics, subharmonics of the quantum wavelengths in order to properly detect the energy form.
There you
Easy stuff, Doc.
go.
No problem.
There you go.
Thanks,
There you
Jareth.
go.
We love a techno babble when it's hard to improv.
All right, so let's meet with the medical staff first, and then we can have them take a look at them, at our ambassador. All right?
Okay.
All right.
So let's head to medbay.
All right, you make your way to the Starbase's pretty expansive medical facility. If a starship's med bay is like a large, like would be like the size of a small hospital or clinic or whatever, this would be like full on like small hospital. So yeah, you walk in and you see as soon as you walk in, it's like almost as if they were like ready for you to walk in. A lieutenant walks up to you and she says, "Hello, doctor. I'm Lieutenant. I'm Dr. Shao." And you could see that she has the markings of lieutenant. She says, I'm the base's chief medical officer."
Eric, is that normal for a lieutenant?
Absolutely not. It is highly irregular that a starbase of this size would have such a low-ranking chief medical officer.
What the fork?
Mhm.
You just see Dr. Davis kind of, and she's like, "All right, Lieutenant. Well, nice to make your acquaintance. Sorry it's under such dire circumstances. All right, so obviously we have a medical emergency on our hands. Has the commander given you any information?"
Very little. I was instructed that you would brief us on what we were facing. We have begun to roll out all of our emergency medical teams to handle any kind of contamination, and we've started to implement our decontamination protocol.
Excellent. There is a alien energy form parasite currently on board your ship. We know that there is at least one known entity, and there may be others. We are unaware at this time. And so we will be scanning the entire crew and all on board for this life form. And Lieutenant Salt here, and she points over, has engineered a way to use the tricorder to scan for, I believe it is energy signatures, which are indicative of this entity being within the host, shall we say. So we need to start cordoning off the different sections, make sure that there's no travel between them. But first we need to clear, obviously, all medical staff. So if you can, please get your technical team to speak with Lieutenant Gideon here, and we can get that going. We obviously have a known infection in the conference room, and there are a few things that we need to do. One, we need to make sure that it's contained, and your lab staff, I'm assuming you have a decent research arm here.
All right. She hesitates for a second and says, "Yes, we have a full laboratory capable of working with infectious agents and whatnot."
What I'm going to need is we need to figure out how this thing travels from host to host and how to remove it from someone without causing any permanent damage. So because we have someone who is infected, that is going to be the person we are going to have to try and work with and see if we can help them. And while we are helping them, hopefully we can learn what we need to know. So they will need to be transported here into the laboratory facilities in order to continue doing whatever research we need to do. So who's head of security here on base?
Lieutenant Phillips.
Can you page Lieutenant Phillips and have him brought to the medical bay?
All right. She looks over at a Vulcan ensign that's like over next to a desk, and she nods, and the Vulcan places the call.
Okay. Is this somewhere private that we can have a conversation?
Sure, in my office. And she indicates a back office.
So
And
she kind of ushers everyone in there, and then she kind of looks at Lieutenant Salt, and she's like, "How secure can we make this?"
Pretty secure, Doctor. Let's lock this thing down.
okay.
So I'm gonna make a bubble.
All right. You're going to basically jam any kind of listening or monitoring devices, scans, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, another Gideon couldn't look in.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
How are you going to
Only
do that?
room for one Gideon on this ship. All right. So let's just do computers. That's focus. I'm not going to use a determination because I've only got one left. What's my DC there, pal?
For this, it's going to be DC. Well, let's make it DC 2 because you're trying to block out those such as yourself. So,
Use some momentum.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. All right. I got to move. I have Max's portrait in the way. Move, Max.
here, let me step aside.
Yeah. 4 dice. Boom.
All
And
right.
I generated 3
5
momentum.
successes. You generate 3 momentum.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Boys are back in town. Boys are back in town.
All right. So yes, you have successfully made it so there are no eavesdroppers in this conversation.
Okay, great. So who's in the room? Is it the lieutenant, medical person?
Lieutenant Shao, and then the 3 of you, and where's Jan?
Jan would probably be with me.
Okay, so yeah, Jan's there, and Lieutenant Shao, when you like walking in, kind of looks at Jan and actually like reaches down and pets him. Like, I've not seen a dog in so long.
Even weirder that it's a cartoon dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she just kind of looks at it and attempts to pet, and then
He's pretty cute, huh?
yeah,
He's an AI.
I'm not sure what that means, but okay.
Alright.
Is that the dog's name?
So, we'll get into that in a second. So, I think I speak for everyone here. What the heck-a-doodle is happening on this starbase?
Well, what do you mean?
Well,
Let's just back up here for just a second. Lieutenant Chow, this situation is highly unusual. I don't usually walk into star bases and take over. So let's just say things have gotten a little crazy. Commander Mers, you've been so quiet all this time. It's really not like you. So perhaps you could speak up at this point.
I mean, I was going to, but I was really happy with someone else running command.
Dr. Davis is like,
No, you've been doing so good. Now you see all the cogs. I get flustered too.
All right.
I want to do this.
Mers, before you talk, Dr. Davis, I want you to do something real quick. It could be. I'm going to make it a command check because you're actually or insight, and what you're doing is you're reading somebody. So I'm going to say normally I would give you a chance to pick what, but I'm saying that this is actually more of an insight and command,
Okay.
because you're kind of reading this Lieutenant Chow, like their body language and things like that. So you and your DC is 1, so obviously, you succeed, you get some information. If you generate momentum, you could always spend it for more information.
Okay. I'm gonna say I'm gonna use 1 momentum.
Okay.
If that's okay. 3 dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number of dice 3.
Yep.
All right. DC 1, DC 2.
DC 1. Do any of your focuses apply to this? I think negotiation would probably, because you're reading the person.
Okay. All right. Let's roll.
There you go. 3 successes, so you generated 2 momentum.
Nice.
All right. So as you're talking to this lieutenant, and you're coming at her kind of with a lot of like commands level stuff and and whatnot, and you can tell just by her demeanor, she's kind of out of sorts. Like she doesn't quite, she is very, very happy to have you take control, almost to the point of being relieved.
Okay.
If you want more information, it would cost you a momentum.
Do it.
I'm doing it.
All right. So then when you were talking about, like containing the contagion, when you started talking about the contagion, you could tell that she started to get like more and more concerned. And you get the impression that not only is she really, she has really no command ability because she's such a junior officer, but you get the impression that she doesn't know what you're talking about in regards to containing a contagion. Any of the, the infectious disease stuff that you're talking about, you get she gets this look on her face like, I don't know what you're talking about.
So she's not aware of the protocol of how you would handle.
Well,
You get the impression that maybe she hasn't handled any of this stuff since medical school. And
Ooh, baby.
you're to the point where she may be a dermatologist.
Okay.
You don't even know what her
Very clear
specialty
now.
is. Yes.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
So Dr. Davis is like, oh, okay. Now I understand. Okay. Lieutenant Chow, you seem, and please don't take offense to this, a bit junior for your position on this Starbase, wouldn't you?
Yes, doctor. There is no doubt of that at all.
Why?
Well, when Dr. Yandowski resigned, I was the junior chief at the time, and Commander Yesh just appointed me the position and just hasn't requested a replacement, or at least said that Starfleet is approved my promotion, and my actual promotion to lieutenant commander is pending.
Dr. Yandowski resigned.
Yes, doctor.
What
did this
happened?
happen 3 or 4 years ago?
Oh no, not that long ago. It was it's been about I don't know, 14 months now.
14 months. Hmm. Okay. And yeah, why?
Why did Doctor did they resign?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know all of the information about that. I know that she and Commander Yesh didn't see eye to eye on quite a lot of things actually, and things kind of came to a head, and she resigned.
And
I think it had something to do with some sort of medical override of some protocol. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was told not to worry about it. And honestly, if this is a big step for my career, so I didn't want to,
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to mess it up.
Gideon would like to be doing a Google.
Dr. Yandowski.
Uh-huh.
14 months ago.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's relatively easy to do. So you can do a computer's check on that. DC 1.
Okay. Yeah. Where is Instagrams? DC 1. I think that's the automatic one. And I'll do control, engineering, and computers to get a focus.
All right. 3 successes, generating 2 momentum. So you cap out the momentum stack there. And so, yes, you succeed. You find Dr. Yandowski, Sophia Yandowski, a highly decorated Starfleet medical officer, had been the chief medical, actually had been the assistant chief medical officer for Starbase 11, and then was transferred out here at the request of Yesh. Specialized in xenobiology and microsurgery, and not only resigned the position of chief medical officer of Starbase 21, resigned their commission.
Wow.
That's a
Okay.
big deal. Okay.
If you want more
So-
information, you could always spend a momentum.
Oh yeah, I'm
Do it.
there we go.
All right. There is, because you got so many successes, and with the difficulty 1 and spending the momentum, you find that there was Dr. Yandowski's last log from this station appears to have been erased and never sent to Starfleet.
Can I recover it?
You can try. This is one of those try and keep people like Gideon from finding out this information. So
Oh, but I love those kind of challenges. When it's trying to keep me out, that's when you know it's really juicy. Okay. I've got mad momentum.
mhm.
I can add. Do I want to use a determination for this? It's my last one, guys.
Well, let me tell you right now, it's going to be DC 4.
Whoo!
Yeah, you're gonna use it.
Okay. Oh, poor Rihanna, so sleepy.
Oh no, it's fine.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use a momentum. I have my focus. That's 4 dice. Should I use 2 momentum?
Yeah,
Yes.
use 7. Why not? We don't have 7.
We don't have that many. Boom.
6 successes.
Yes.
2 momentum.
So you generate 2 momentum. All right. So it appears that this log has been erased, but whoever did the erasing did not have the mad skills of a Lieutenant Salt. So you get your so there's a hacker montage where you're just like, and you do recover this log. It's audio only. The person who erased this, you find out with the number of successes that you got, the difficulty of this. Yes, you erased it, and didn't send it to Starfleet, even though the doctor had marked it and had indicated, the computer system itself indicated that it had been sent. It actually had not been sent. Yes, erased it. But you get into the buffer and whatnot, and you find the actual audio of this log report. And it's not very long. All it says is that Dr. Yandowski, she says, I found out what's going on here and what's really going on here, and I can't believe that the Federation and Starfleet have signed off on this. And if that is the case, I am not only resigning my position, but I'm going to resign, effective immediately, my commission in Starfleet. There is no way that I will sign off on making sentient bombs. And that's where we'll end it for this episode.
Okay.
Making sentient bombs.
That's a lot.
Wow.
That's something.
All right. So we are out of time for this episode. So how about we let everyone know where we can be found? We will, as always, go in rank order. So we will start with Commander Mers.
Hi, I'm sentient bomb. It's no, I mean I can't even get over that. Okay, I'm Rihanna. You can find me at DIY Ferret on like everything. Boy howdy. In 2 weeks, please come back and find this out with us, because I'm gonna be yelling about this all of the next 2 weeks.
All right. And next we have Dr. Davis.
Oh my gosh, you guys, my mind is blown. Hi, everybody. I've been playing Dr. Davis. My name is Leslie. You can find me on Twitter at LeslieGMGirl, and come back in 2 weeks because holy moly, it's getting crazy in here.
All right. And lastly,
the doctor's in charge.
with the doctor in charge. That's what makes it so crazy. All right. And then lastly, we have Lieutenant Salt.
Hey, this has been so much fun. I love that Eric is like, oh, I'm gonna do a cool little Halloween thing, and then it turns out to be this crazy intense like arc. I also love Fantasy Grounds that allows me to just monster my way through things that I'm good at. It's so satisfying.
It is good, isn't it?
It's so good. You can find me on Twitter at Thistle Raven. You can also find me on Taking Initiative, which is a 5e actual play podcast. You can find our Twitter for that at TI_pod. The person who runs it is also me, so if you can say hi to me on that one as well. We have a schedule out for Taking Initiative's Twitch page now. Josh is going to be streaming Monday nights. I think he's playing Risk of Rain with that good Australian boy, Adam from D&D is for Nerds. We love him and we love playing games with him. And I am going to start rotating my Star Trek streams on Tuesdays by playing games. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing. Maybe Baldur's Gate, maybe Mass Effect, maybe something that occurs to me at some point. So you can find me streaming on Tuesdays on the Taking Initiative podcast, not just Taking Initiative Twitch. There's some other lovely people, but we're Taking Initiative podcast on Twitch. So you should be able to find me there as well.
All righty. And I'm Eric. I'm the GM of this and then of the Resting Glitchface Shadowrun podcast. Just a real quick note. Over this past weekend, we did a live stream event on this channel for charity. That actually, the VOD is still up. And if you click info on the channel, underneath there is a clickable link to donate to Toys for Tots. So we would appreciate you donating if you are so inclined. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in 2 more weeks.